We have a quadratic equation where we've got A, B and C. A in this instance is going to be 1 because we have got x squared. But we want to rewrite it in the format x plus b all squared plus c. I'm going to go through a few examples. The reason why we're doing this is because it's useful to find something important about the graph, which we'll talk about next. In this video, I want you to watch what's happening, and in a few moments we're going to go over the answers. This is the end of example 1. Now I'm going to have a go at doing example 2. I would like you to see if there's any similarities between these questions. Now, these are our two completed equations. So today we're going to talk about how to get it from the first form, which is the question, into the answer. This is the question, this is the answer. Now, one thing you can notice about these is that they are both quadratics, and the reason why is because we can see they both have a power of 2 as a maximum power. So we're going to talk about putting it into the form x plus b, where b is an unknown, squared plus c. So hopefully you can notice we have a bracket with x plus something, or it could be x minus something, as shown by these blue arrows. And then after the bracket, we are adding or subtracting something. This is why we write plus c, which is shown with a black line. Now, what I want to show you is how we get from the question to the answer. The first thing you need to do is look for what is b in the initial equation. Pause the video and answer what is b. Welcome back. Hopefully you noticed that b was the coefficient in front of the x. And b for this one is the coefficient in front of the x. Now I want you to pause the video and have a think about how do we get from the coefficient in front of x to the number in the bracket. Great, hopefully you notice we need to half this number, the coefficient, to get the number in the bracket, half this number to get the number in front of the bracket. The reason why is when we have something in a format of x plus a number all squared, this is in the completed square format, which is this format up here. But when we expand this double bracket, so let's say we expanded x plus 2 squared. X plus 2 squared would be the following. You could either do it in your head or you can use a grid. I often encourage you to use a grid. So the square means we need to repeat this bracket twice. So we have the terms here once and the terms here a second time. We're then going to find each of the missing parts of the grid by multiplying the terms together. So x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 2 is 4. So if we found the resultant part of this equation, we would get x squared plus 4x plus 4. Now this is good because we're going to say that this blue line here is the same as this here. However, we have got a bit of an issue, And this is because we actually want to have x squared plus 4x. And here we have x squared plus 4x plus an additional 4. The additional 4 is what we don't want. So this is why we minus 4. And now our equations are equivalent. Let's do the same process with the next equation. The first step we did was what? Hopefully you remembered we needed to halve the coefficient of the number in front of x, which is 2, and then when we divide this by 2 we get 1. Then step 2 would be to expand our new bracket out. So we're going to get the bracket, which is x plus 1 squared. I'm going to write it on the side like this, and we're going to get x squared plus 2x plus 1. Now, as before, we are going to study this with this and see what our similarities and differences are. We can see that if we can compare this with the original equation, we have an x squared, we have a 2x, and we have a 1. So actually, they're, in this instance, identical. So we don't need to change anything to do with this. So you can write add 0. If you don't want to write add 0, you can write your answer as just x plus 1 squared. But what is the reason we're doing this? That would be a very important question you might ask. Well, the reason we're doing this is because it links to the graph. Let's have a look at how it links to a quadratic graph. If we have a look at the next step, this is the graph linking with this equation, and this is the graph linking with this equation. Now I'm going to discuss important parts to do with this. The first thing we notice is the y-intercept. And for this particular equation, the y-intercept is 0. Why do you think the y-intercept is 0? Well, the reason why the y-intercept is 0 is because in this equation we have no number on its own. Remember, in an equation which is a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c, the c always represents the y-intercept. But we've got no addition of c, which means we're adding 0, so the intercept is therefore 0. For this one then, our y-intercept is going to be 1. And this is because we've got an add 1 here. Now, the next step is to talk about why did we actually put it in completed square format? So why did we actually write it like x plus 1 squared plus 0? And why did we write this one as x plus 2 squared minus 4? This is going to be the interesting thing we're going to work out. So, looking at this equation, we can analyse it. Let's take a green pen this time. This is the vertex or the minimum of the quadratic, and this is similarly the vertex. The vertex for this is minus 2, minus 4. And the vertex for this one is going to be minus 1, 0. Now, pause the video and have a think as to why we're going to have minus 4 as the y value of the minimum and 0 as the y value. Welcome back. Hopefully you noticed it matched with this number. So whatever this number is will give you the y coordinate of the vertex. Now we're going to have a study of the x part. So we've got minus 2 and minus 1. Have a think about why this links to the equation over here. Excellent. So hopefully you noticed that you need to take this number and just change the sign. And that will always give you the x value. So now we have the x value, which is minus 2 for this one, and the y value, which is minus 4. What I would like you to do is have a go at this question. The answer is going to be x plus something squared, and then we're going to do minus 25. I'd like you to work out what this something is going to be. Hello, yes again. So let's go over the answer of this. So the first thing you need to do is take the integer, which is 10, and you half it. Then you need to work out, well, what is this number going to be here? I've already told you the answer is minus 25, but the way you do it is by expanding this bracket, which is x plus 5 squared, apologies for the handwriting, and we are going to combine all of this together. So we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. Now we need to compare that to the original. X squared, yep, we've got that. 10x, yes, we've got that. However, we've got an additional 25. We don't want that there. So we're going to minus 25. The next question, example 2, I'm going to show you a shortcut. So, as always, we take the x, we put a plus because there's a plus here, and then we halve the number in front of the x, which is 7. And we're going to put this to a power of 2. Rather than doing the working out here on the right hand side, I'm going to give you a shortcut. What you can do is just write minus 7, because this matches this number here, squared. And the reason why is if we did expand this out in a grid, we would get x squared, 7x, 7x, and 49. And what we're going to find is if we have this kind of setup, we're always going to end up with the number in the bracket squared as something we don't want. So we need to minus this number squared. So you don't need to do this working out anymore if you understand this method. Last but not least, can you have a go at example 3? And when you're finished, I will put some questions on the board.